The CFL and CFLPA ratified a new collective bargaining agreement last week. Players were given a $1.225 million ratification bonus, and the deal is 7 years in length, though the players have an opt-out after 5 years to coincide with the expiration of TSN's exclusive broadcasting deal. We're all tired of CBA talk, I get it, but we'd be remiss if we didn't at least discuss briefly the details of the new deal. I'm curious, JC, what are your thoughts on the new deal ratified between the two sides?
I think basically the same thing I thought about the previous tentative agreement that got voted down. I think it's a good deal for the players overall. I'm a little bit disappointed in the player voting base, as I said last week, for clearly, desiring a small paycheck now in that ratification bonus and taking some money off future years of the deal, which will potentially impact guys down the line after this set of players has retired. But if you look overall at the bulk of the deal, all the things that the players got, the raises in the salary cap, the raises in the minimum salary, which I think is huge. To me, that's a major issue, is raising that floor rather than raising the ceiling in the CFL. That'll eventually in 2027 get up to $75,000. I think that's tremendous for all the players. And you look at the advent of revenue sharing and things like that, having a seat on CFL Ventures. All of these are very good moves for the players with very little given up on their part. Adding some padded practices to me is not a big deal. The ratio discussion, I think, has been overblown in the fan base. I don't think that rule is going to be particularly impactful. So this is just a fantastic deal for the players in my mind.
Yeah, and the ratio thing, the one concern that I have is in the event, and I've heard conflicting things on this, if it is 49% of plays per game, I agree with you. I don't think the ratio is going to be a big deal. If it's 45 or 49% of plays over the course of a season, I do think that's going to impact things widely, because there's going to be lots of teams who are happy to get rid of their Canadian stats early and say, okay, we went all Canadian for the first 9 games. Now we can go American at those veteran spots like we want to. But all in all, I am optimistic. I agree with you. The salary floor going to 70,000, the minimum salary going to 70,000 by 2023 is big. The cap's only going up by 100K for the 2023 season. So most of that new money is going to go to the rookie players or the younger players who make the league minimum. But by and large, I'm happy. First of all, I'm ecstatic this is done. So I get to watch football and report on football, which at the end of the day is why I do what I do. I'm not here to report on labor negotiations. But I agree with you, JC. I think it's a good deal. And the other thing I'll say, I said this last week, the other really encouraging thing is, for the first time, I think ever, the CFL and its leadership is opening up the books. They're not doing it yet. It doesn't start until 2024. But first of all, there's no way that the owners agree to this if the CFL isn't at least in a good place moving forward. And I think they don't agree to do that if they think there's any chance that the business won't be successful moving forward. They've got Genius Sports on board. They've got the legal single game sports betting that I think is going to bring in a bunch of money as long as they capitalize on it correctly. So to me, this is all very positive. I wish that these are some of the changes the CFL had made 3, 4, 5 years ago, but you can't go back and change the past. All you can do is try to build the proper foundation for future success. And I think the CFL and its players have finally done that with this new collective bargaining agreement.
I couldn't agree more with you there, Hodge. Now, on the ratio point, I think it is going to be 49% per game. Jamie Nye of the Green Zone in Regina had a nice report on that last week, breaking down some of the details. It'll be, accounted for post game throughout the regular season, and then for the playoffs they're going to do an average of how many defensive and offensive snaps have been in a game all season, and that's the mark you have to hit apparently. I'm not sure exactly how all that will work, but if it's a per game basis, I'm not overly concerned. But to your other point, the fact that they're opening up the books and there is so much potential for growth here financially for the players, I love that. And we saw a lot of the discussion in the fan base when players were asking for more, who were pressing this issue. There was a segment of people who are like, no, the CFL is flat broke. Look at all the money they lost in COVID. That is true. They lost some money, right? Everyone in the world did. There was not a business that wasn't affected. But I think the CFL is in remarkably good shape for what it's just gone through. And it has potential for financial growth with some of these new initiatives. And it didn't seem like money, whether upfront or in the long term, was one of the main hangups for the league in this deal. No one was trying to play poor here, right? They gave a lot the financial aspects to the players and fought back on some of the other things like the ratio. So I don't think this is a situation where the league is empty pocketed, being bled dry by the players. They have the money. Now the players are starting to get their fair share.
And the one thing I'll say is CGOB did an interview in Winnipeg with Wade Miller, who talked about how, you know, his reason for the ratio change, or at least the league's reason for the ratio change, was saying, well, we have to make sure our best players are on the field. My only response to that is, okay, why do we then have global kickers missing 32-yard field goals as part of this ratio? But I will not open that can of worms. Let's move on. The people have had enough CBA talk for the next 5 years.